Hi, today we're gonna talk about two really fun things. The one thing is robots, and the other thing is live streaming. And my guest today does it both at the same time. He brings that together, and we want to know how is he doing that. And with no further ado, uh, hi Kevin,
Hey
welcome.
everyone. Hi Marcus, how you doing?
I'm doing very well, and you? Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, really good, thanks.
Okay. So I can already see in your background it's a passion of you is all things robotic and
Absolutely.
and working with it, not just buying the finished product, but be active yourself. How long are you in this field?
Yeah, so I mean, I've been in IT in computing probably for as long as I can remember. And actual robotics, I would probably say about the last 4 years, thereabouts. And live streaming only about 2 years, just coming up to 2 years now, so not too long. Yeah, but I've always loved computers, programming, that kind of stuff. I've not had a 3D printer, which is what I use to build a lot of these robots for very long. So I've been sort of developing my skills in how to do how to 3D print things. And the other, if there's like three overlapping Venn diagram circles. So if you've got like 3D printing, mechanical engineering, programming as one, there's another one which is like electronics, how all the wires sort of plug together and how everything sort of works. So that's also a sort of newish area for me as well.
Okay, but I always imagined that already was a fascination with you
Absolutely, yeah.
from the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so watching films as I was growing up, things like Star Wars with C-3PO and R2-D2, I've always liked robots in that sense, and that's why this sort of gallery behind me here, it's that one, isn't it? These are all different movie posters. So I've got one there for Forbidden Planet that's got Robbie the robot in it. There's another one you can't quite see there, which is Westworld with the Brenner as the gunslinger with the robot. What else have we got there? We've got Metropolis, the very famous film from like the 1920s, I think it was, where they had Maria, the first sort of robot, and that still looks quite modern today. And then we've got Hal from 2001 just there. What have we got? The Day the Earth Stood Still. There's a robot in that called Gort. So there's loads of films from the 50s, and I think growing up, I'd watch these with my father. We'd watch sort of, the sort of American science fiction movies, and they always had these robots in it as the bad guys. And at the very end, which is slightly off camera, there is Short Circuit, Johnny Five from that. So I've always loved robots. It's always something that sort of fascinated me and captured my imagination.
Okay, and then along came 3D printing
That's right.
and
Yes,
easy to
that was
having. Yeah.
that was one of the things that really opened it up for me. So I was always making things. I build things out of Lego as a child, but I'm not very good at sort of putting things together with wood. I'm not very good at woodworking. So when 3D printing came along and was affordable, so my first 3D printer, which I don't have anymore, that was about £100. It's not
Okay.
actually not a lot of money, about 100 and whatever the exchange rate is now, $130, something like that. Not very much money. And the filament that you use to print it is very cheap as well. So once you've got one of these, it's just what can you print out with it? So the very first robot I printed out was this similar kind of robot. These are called SMARS. And the idea of it's screwless. There's no screws to sort of screw into it. It's modular, so you can sort of remove different pieces and, put other pieces in place. And it's accessible. Anyone can print these out. It's a robotic system. So that's what SMARS stands for. So I was obsessed with these. It's like, what else can I get this thing to do? There's a walking version. I've got, if I switch to this camera over here, I can show you my wall of robots there. So you can probably just about see there, there's three robots that look like spiders. So there's lots of different variations of this robot. So I printed out all the different variants of that. Some other small robots. They're always about this sort of size as well, the robots I print. They're all sort of quite easy to, it's not an epic print job to do. The robot that's behind me there, you can just see there's like a torso. It's like a human torso without any
Yes.
arms on it. that took months to print out. And I think I'd really overstretched myself when I was trying to print out that one. It's a full-size human robot. There's actually a head in one of my draw things up there. And if I just flick
That's
this round and
something
show
you
you.
don't hear every day. There's a
Yeah, there you
head
go.
in
You
my
can just about see
drawing.
its,
Oh,
you can see its
great.
head, and you can see the arm there as well. So yeah, that took a very long time to sort of print out, and I kind of got a bit disenchanted with printing that out, and that's why I thought these small ones I can
Okay.
learn as I go on this, and they're cheap to make as well. So I was obsessed with this. So I created a website called smilesfan.com, and I was thinking, how else can I communicate to people how to build these robots? So I'd written lots of instructions and tutorials and took pictures, and I thought I really need some video content, but I don't like editing. It takes too much time, and I wasn't very good at it to begin with. And I certainly didn't have like the studio, I didn't have equipment and everything. I just had an iPhone, and I just had like a little stand for that to go in and record what I was doing. So I used OBS to go live, and one day I think I was in between contracts because of my freelance project manager day job. So while I was between these contracts for a month, I decided I'm just going to focus on this, and I'm just going to go all out, and I'm just going to try streaming. So, and it was really so I could get the video, online on YouTube, and then I could embed that in my website and say, here's a video on how to, print one of these robots or make it move, that kind of thing. So that's kind of where my channel started. If you look at my very first videos on my channel, they're all me sat at my computer. There's a staircase behind me because I was just in my living room. This robot lab didn't exist then. And yeah, it was just however long it took for me to do a particular task. And then each week I would try. I decided I was going to do this every single week. So every Sunday evening, I was going to do a live stream, and it was always going to be about these robots in some way. So that I decided in advance roughly what I would do, and then leading up to that Sunday, I would prepare everything I needed. And it came about that I had a formula for my shows. So I would typically do a bit of a slideshow, like a keynote presentation on the Mac, where I would talk through what I was going to do, and then I'd have a demo where I'd actually show people. And the idea being there, if the demo doesn't work, because it's live and things can go wrong and the tech can fail, if it doesn't work, then all is not lost. I've already given people something. And
Okay.
yeah, one of the big revelations for me is if something fails and goes wrong, that's a learning opportunity. You can share that, and then you can unpick that later on and say, last week we tried this and it didn't work, and this is why it didn't work. So that was a bit of an eye-opener for me. And then I realized I got feedback from people. They were saying, really love the content. It's a bit long. An hour is quite a commitment for people to sit down and watch your content. So, for this kind of content, everything else that's out there is quite short. So I thought, well, I'll have a go because I've got OBS and know how to hit record now. I don't have to go live. I'll try just recording a short, about 5 minutes long. And it did take me probably about 6 or 7 hours to record footage, to edit down and get it just right and re-record it. Because I'm really good live, but when I try and record things, I get really nitpicky. So I'll remove all the breaths in my my videos. If I've said anything that's not quite perfect or coherent or energetic enough, I'll re-record it. So it ends up taking forever to do. But that's really has benefited the channel. So when I go live, that's really great for engagement. So seeing everybody on, listening to the story, commenting, and then you can interact with them. That's fantastic for community building. And then the pre-recorded videos kind of support that hand in hand. So I don't really update that website that much anymore. I now just do the live streams in the midweeks.
Okay, so but first you did it for yourself, and then you were so enthusiastic about it. You had to say, okay, I have to tell other people, and then you built the website, and you had success with that, and live streaming was the next step for you. Okay.
Yes, that's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I had been watching live streaming pros for probably about 4 years before I went live myself. I kind of dipped into it, was like quite obsessed. And then there must have been about a year where I didn't actually watch any videos for quite some time. And then I jumped back in later on when I thought, I get it now. I understand what they're saying and why they focus on certain things and why that's important. So that I got so much out of that.
Okay, yeah, that's the thing. So you said you were watching them a long time before you actually did it yourself. So that's
Yes.
always the trap we can fall into with
Yeah.
watching tutorials and
That's right.
resources, and
That's right.
it's so much easier to consume all that instead
Yeah.
of just finally doing it. And
Yeah.
what
I
was
like
the
many
point?
people. Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
Like many people, I started out with not very much technology. I mean, I had a good computer, but the camera I was using was literally my iPhone. It was just my iPhone plugged in via a cable to the computer. I didn't have a microphone to begin with, but I quickly realized it sounded awful. So I got myself, I've still got the same microphone today that I had for my first videos. It's just a Yeti Nano, Blue Yeti Nano. I probably will upgrade. I'll quite like your microphone there. I'm probably going to get like a slightly better one, but it's good enough for now. Yeah, it
Yeah,
does the job.
sounds perfect. And
Yeah.
yeah, you're absolutely up to the task with your different cameras, and then uh,
Yes,
in the spur of a moment, take the one camera and do a
that's it.
live tour. So you,
That's it. Yes, I've got my little camera here. It's just on a cable. I used to have this. This used to be my overhead camera,
okay,
but I've now got myself. If I actually use this, I've now got myself. Let's see. There you go. That's Sony. I think it's an EZ10. Is that what it's called? Yeah. So that's fantastic for doing overhead shot stuff. So you can see it's just there pointing round down at my desk, and I've got it on one of those um, multi mounts, an Elgato multi mount.
yeah,
And my other camera, if I just point it over here, this one is the Sony 6400, I think it is, with the 16 millimeter 1.4 Sigma lens on it. You can see that I've got the key light, ring light, and then there's a little hair light, next to me just there. And then I've
perfect.
generally got some other lights just around the rooms to make it a bit more interesting. So yeah, and I just use Ecamm with a Stream Deck to switch between all the different scenes. So
Yeah,
I find
but
that really helps.
okay, but I think it's important to stress again that you started out with just the phone, and then
That's right.
that accumulated over time, where you steadily improved, and so
Yes,
no one should be intimidated. I can't go live because I don't have all
correct.
those things. Yeah.
That's right. And I had that imposter syndrome that, I would never be good at this. I would never be a presenter because I'm an introvert, really introverted. I'm very socially awkward normally. We know each other already, so I'm quite comfortable with you. But if there's somebody
Okay.
I don't know and I didn't speak to them, I'll be thinking like, what do I need to say to them next? And I'll be thinking ahead, trying to think. I don't want any sort of silent periods or where I don't know what to speak to them about. So I'll
Yeah.
just think about something general to speak about. But yeah, so that was always going through my head when I was recording it. So again, the very first videos, I'm like you know a rabbit in the headlights. I'm just kind of like and
Yeah.
getting really nervous. And there were quite a few tech issues at the beginning where things wouldn't quite work properly, or yeah, and I was terrified of that my internet connection dropping during a stream or something. So yeah,
Yeah, but the best thing to get over that is practicing.
yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. It's so true.
yeah,
And it's funny, you start out not really knowing what your niche is going to be, whether that's going to work out, whether people are going to watch it, whether you'll grow. And if you're just consistent. So I have been live every single Sunday since that very first time I pressed live. I
wow.
think I've had two where I haven't been live. If I'm going on holiday, I'll typically have a pre-recorded sort of bank
Okay.
show where I can just have that playing, and I'll try and connect, using my phone to at least get in the messages and talk to people. And I've got a full-time job, so it's quite difficult to find
Yeah.
all the time to do this. And because of my content is quite practical based, I'm physically making things all the time. I have to split my time between making the thing, recording what I'm doing, the process, editing that together, or just coming up with notes. And I try and do 2 videos a week. So I'll do the midweek
Wow.
video, which is like a really
Okay.
short one, and then I'll do the live stream. And I want to put as much energy and effort as I can into it so that people get the value out of it. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes people just
Okay.
not interested.
But the thing you mentioned with the short, where you had 6 hours to produce it. I guess you brought
Yeah.
that down, else it wouldn't be
Yes,
possible to go on.
that's it. So some things you think that'll be a nice, easy one to do. That'll be, straightforward. There's some other ones where you think, I know that's going to be complicated, so I'm gonna allow for a bit more time, or maybe work on that one in between everything else. So my kind of content calendar will look like live stream on a Sunday. On a Monday, I will have a day off, so I'll have an evening where I'm not doing anything. But really, I'm probably thinking about what's likely to be the midweek video. Then on Tuesday, I'll start preparing my notes for the midweek video. If I need to start filming anything, and I love having an iPhone, so I see this as a sort of business expense. It's got a fantastic set of cameras on here, so I can do some really good quality shots and video. It's in 4K, 60 frames a second, looks really sharp, and it's very steady as well, even though it's handheld. So I'll film stuff while things are printing, or while I'm making something, while I remember. And I'll also post up to social media. So one of the things I've discovered, and it's not rocket science, but to me it's like a revelation, is the more you post on social media, and just pick one for now. Like I've been using Instagram for a long time, and that's not really been paying off. And I've switched recently to doing things on Twitter, and that really pays off. So one tweet that I did about it's not a robot per se, but it's to do with robotics. That tweet went viral. I think I had 300,000 impressions on that particular tweet. So that made a big difference. I had a lot of subscribers come and join the YouTube channel after that. And as say Catherine Elledge always says, you always be list building, always trying to be putting yourself and your marketing stuff out there. So I noticed, for example, on your YouTube description, you've not got like a block of text yet. I don't know if you add that later on, but I do that before the show. I've got like a notepad, and I will literally paste. I'll bring it up and show you on screen. What I always have on my my videos. If I go over to here, there we go. So this block of text here, I will always cut and paste that into every single YouTube video that I do. And then I'll change a few bits to make it relevant. So all the links to, my lead magnets, membership things, how people can follow me, that's on every single video. And that means that I'm always list building. I'm always putting my marketing out there. So things like your link in bio. So if you're on Instagram, you can't embed links in things, but you can say a link in bio, and people click on your profile. There is a link in there that then takes them to a place where there's lots of other information. So it's almost like a landing page. So I've been thinking about how to get more engagement, making sure everything feeds back into the into YouTube channel, because that's where I want to put all my effort and energy.
Yeah, but that's a really good tip, because I'm very short in my description, and there is absolutely room. And if we have something pre-prepared,
the YouTube channel, the algorithm, it will transcribe all your videos, and then it will use that behind the scenes when people are searching stuff to suggest it. So if I'm talking about Raspberry Pi, if I'm talking about robots and Python, those keywords will now be attached to this video, and other people searching for stuff, this will pop up. So it's important that you have certain phrases. If there's something that you're keywording it for, and you can download tools like TubeBuddy to help you make it optimized for the search engines, but also everything you say is also part of a tag. I think tags themselves are now being depreciated a little bit. They're not really. Yeah.
So what I had really something to remember me of the fact that YouTube is watching every frame and listen to everything you say, because on it's my last guest, Callie, she made a joke about foot fetish. And then I went into the analytics, and they say what was the search term for this video, and 100% of the search term were foot fetish, and maybe for this one now too.
That's right.
I'm afraid they will be quite disappointed if they watch the video after that. But let's go to a question from Lala. She says, edited the video with live streaming works hand in hand in growing a channel, right? Okay.
Yes, I would definitely say this is the case. So for me, live streaming is about, the difference between that and pre-recorded video is that interaction. So when people have discovered me on social media and they come and watch a show, because I'll always say I go live every single Sunday. I've even got a call to action based around that. Is it that one? Nope, that's not the one. It is that one. There we go. I have a call to action that I'll put on every single show, which is that I go live every single Sunday at 7 p.m. And I've even got all the time zones there so people can see when I'm going live. So it just continually reminds people. And that's why consistency is really important. So people know that I'll be there at that time. So that builds the community. People will join and they'll think, oh, there's other people who also like this particular subject matter, robots, people, and they'll like to join in the same time every week because they know what time it's going to be. They'll know who's there. They'll know it's going to be fun. They're probably going to learn something of value. And they can dip in and out of that. So I do tend to see people stay solidly throughout the entire episode, the entire show. But it is quite a commitment. So what I will do now, I will trim away. I think you probably do the same, Marcus, don't you? I'll trim away the countdown timer. And then there's another section that I do at the end where I'll say, and if you're watching on YouTube on replay, this is a point where I'll say goodbye. But people who are watching live, this is where we do a bit of a Q&A and a bit of engagement. So then I'll start looking through what people have been talking about, the comments and so on. So community building, really important for the live element. And then the recorded one is really, really focused, and that can get me more subscribers. Interestingly, the video on my channel that's done the most number of views, I think it's got over 20,000 views now. That one was an hour long, and it was a live stream that was recorded. Okay. So it doesn't necessarily mean that short ones get you, better metrics, because it's all about the watch time, isn't it? The average view time, the click-through rate, people clicking on that image and thinking, I want to watch this.
Yeah, and I cut the countdown timer part as well. But the interaction, I spread it usually throughout. But with your concept, it's of course much more structured, as you said.
Yeah, it's very formulaic, and it does seem to work well. Yeah. So it works that well, actually. I was looking. I get contacted every now and again from usually Chinese manufacturers saying that we make, a chip or a widget of some kind. Would you be interested in showing this on your show? And I've done a few of them, but I thought that's not particularly sustainable. And it's not something I would really want anyway, but I'll show it just because they've expressed an interest. And I thought, well, there's a couple of companies in the UK who I would love to work for or work with as a sponsor. And one of those companies is Pimaroni, and they make these fantastic robots. They make all kinds of specialized circuitry and things for makers. It's ideal for the maker community. So I kind of wrote them a love letter in the form of a review video of this particular robot. And it was quite evenly balanced. I didn't sort of, fawn over the thing. I said there was a few things on here that I would do differently if I was making this myself. And I'd actually emailed, because I have a segment of my shows. Well, it's more of a series within my show, if you like, which is called Meet the Maker, and I'll interview somebody who's also a maker. And I sent an email to the owners of Pimaroni and said, would you be interested in being on the show? Nothing, until I did this review video of the robot, and the CEO, the co-founder of Pimaroni, emailed me or contacted me via Twitter and said, really, really love the video that you've done. Would you be interested in doing some similar kind of videos, but for our products? So I'm like, hell yeah, that's exactly what I'd love to do. Yeah.
Congratulations. So you have your first sponsor.
That's it. So they send me stuff. I'll do a video, like an introduction video or whatever it is. I've got like a little keypad here, for example, that will plug in. There was another one that was that one I actually did a video about this one. So it's called the Pico RGB keypad by Pimaroni, and it's just like colored soft buttons. And I thought this could be a cheap Stream Deck. Now a Stream Deck's like nearly $200. this thing is about $30. It's really, really cheap. So I wrote the code that makes this work. So you can assign that button to be like, take a screenshot or move to a different scene in Ecamm or whatever you want to do. And it works. And I designed a 3D printed sort of case for it as well, because the actual board is just a tiny little board like that. So I printed this 3D stand for it, and yeah, it just works. So that's been a really popular video. That one's continuing to grow, that one, because it's very practical. So yeah, Pimaroni, really, really great company. Absolutely love them. Love working with them. Full of really smart people. I couldn't be happy with that. So that was like a really good success. There's been a few. So one of the things I did as well, I like I said, I've got this show, Meet the Maker, and I emailed all the people I wanted to speak to, and then I was on the Live Streaming Pros accountability call, and Susan was saying that, how could you push yourself? What's a ridiculous goal that you could aim for? And I thought, well, there's a guy who he builds robots. He has a YouTube channel. It's called James Bruton. He has over 1 million subscribers. I want to interview him and know who he is on a personal level. So I emailed him, and that was about November, I think. And he came back within the week and said, yep, I'll do that. So in January, we recorded the interview, and it took me quite a while to sort of edit it down and get it sent out. And that was actually a bank show for when I was on holiday. But yeah, that was like, I can't believe that happened. And it just made me think, don't hold back.
Yes.
Just because you think you're a small channel or they wouldn't be interested in you. No. These are just people, and they're all thinking about content as well and connections, and they're always worried about their next video, just like everybody else.
Yes, and you just have to ask. The worst thing that can happen.
Yeah, no,
is
I was
they
a bit
say no.
strategic. So I did join his YouTube membership for about 5 months beforehand. It was only about £3 a month. It wasn't very much. But it meant that I stuck out. And when he posted a video, it was like a members only one, that was a really small group of people. So I would always make sure I commented on that and said, like, that's a great, whatever the video was about. Again, just sort of top of mind, tip of tongue, top of mind, that kind of thing. Yeah. So he knew my name. He knew I was always being enthusiastic. And then when I asked him, would he be on the show? It was an easy yes from him, really, if he had the time. And we did have to sort of move it around to get it scheduled in. But yeah.
Yeah, but you also were genuinely interested in his content.
That's right. And it was kind of, we're peers in a way. I mean, he's got an order of magnitude more subscribers than I have currently. Yeah. I'm going to get there.
But you recently made the 5,000 subscriber mark. Congratulations for that.
That's right. That was a major milestone. So I've literally got on my, I'll show you over here. I have a whiteboard over here. Let's see if I can get that just in shot. You can't quite see the text that's on there. I've got like a calendar, but in red, I've got my subscriber count. And I can see that in February this year, 28th of February, I had 500. Is that really when that was? No, that must have been last year. Yeah, so 2021, I had 500 subscribers. And then in April of that year, I got 1,000 subscribers. And then by November, I had 3,000 subscribers. And then March the 6th, 5,000 subscribers.
Congratulations.
So I do keep a tally of that every single day, just because I want to know, has a particular video done particularly well? Is that something that's chimed with people? And then I'll think, why is that? I don't want to go and chase that just to try and get more subscribers. I just want to know what made that one stand out, because there might be something in that. So, yeah.
Yeah, and we were talking a bit before the show, the balance on the one side making content you really want to make, and on the other side also want it to be successful, and how much are you worried about subscribers?
Yes. Yeah, and that's something, when we did the live every day in August, I did the leader. I must have done it about 3 or 4 times now. And one of the things that I learned from the very first one was, whatever your channel is going to be about, you need to stick with this for the long haul. So if you're going to be doing this for 10 years, what's a subject, topic, or niche that you can stick with for 10 years and not get tired of, not feel that you've got burnt out, that you've done everything that could be done there? So my niche, and it is quite niche, hobbyist robotics. It's not professional robotics. I'm not going to be building, industrial robots anytime soon. It is just for the hobbyist. But it's wide enough that there's enough things in there that I can play with. So one week I might be like, how do you build this robot and print it out? Then the week after I might be doing like, right, let's write some programs and make this thing move. And then another one I might be doing, how does the electronics work? What are these different components there and sensors? So there's enough things around the subject that it keeps me interested. And there was a benefit there. I'm not a finisher completer by nature. I'm one of these people that's a creator. I like to make things, but then I leave it and then go on to something else and never really finish something. So this was a perfect excuse to actually finish projects, get something that I could show people. And I've got now surrounded me now finished things that are complete and work. So I love that as a side effect. And it did mean, I watched a video by Casey Neistat, and he said, think about your hobbies. You could be good or okay at lots of different hobbies. So say photography or I don't know, knitting or drawing, whatever the things are, making woodwork, whatever the things are that you're interested in. Or you could stack all your attention onto one hobby, one topic, and become a master of that in the same amount of time with the same amount of effort, but it's just focus. So I thought, well, I'm going to do that with robotics. And it wasn't even particularly the most important thing or the most exciting thing hobby-wise that I could do, but it was something I thought, this has got some legs. I can do something with this. So, I mean, and I am passionate about it. Don't get me wrong. So
I can tell.
I love computing. That's my real passion, is just computing in every sense. So robotics are kind of like a physical computing, practical computing, they sometimes call it. So yeah, that was and it's really paid off, focusing on that one hobby, focusing on that one subject, always looking for opportunities around that and thinking, well, that makes some really good content. And then one of the things I've done that's kind of a hack is whenever something happens to do with your topic area that's significant in your community, absolutely jump on that. So one of the things that happened when this chip came out in January 2021, so only last year, in January, it was like a real shock surprise. They'd launched this new chip. What can it do? It was £4, so it's really, really cheap as a computer. Where can you get them from? What can they do? Is the code out there? All that kind of stuff. So there's a real big lots of energy and interest around that. So I immediately, that day when that came out, I'd ordered one and I did a video, and I didn't even have one. I just did a video about it saying, this is coming, this is what we know, can't wait, I'll do a follow-up video. And that one blew up. That was a video that was really successful for a short amount of time. So I probably don't get any more views off that one now, because it was just an event that happened and I sort of rode that wave. But it did get me more widely known. I had quite a few subscribers join because of that. And it got me known in that particular area as well.
Yeah, great. And then they later can watch the video where you actually have it.
That's
and
right. Absolutely. And you can unbox it and you can share people with it. And then the other thing, so I get more strategic now in my video content. So I'll think, how do I make myself more widely known and widely known for what I do on my channel? So it's about growing your influence in a true sense. So I would look to see who are the people who are my heroes, a bit like James Bruton. Who are the people I look up to who've already got it and know what they're doing? And how do I either meet them or become known by them, so that there's a bit of interplay there with them? So Twitter is great for this because it's a great leveler. If they're on Twitter and you can chat with them and share things, or if you know them well enough because you've done a bit of mini stalking on them, then you can purposely do something they'll react to, and that's a great thing for them. Like, oh. So one of the people that I follow is Jeff Geerling. So he does lots of videos about Raspberry Pis, and I posted a few videos about Raspberry Pis and things, and we both did a video because it was the 10th anniversary of the Raspberry Pi recently. We both did a video and it was top 10 things that you could do with a Raspberry Pi as projects. And he said that my video popped up in his stream. Like, he was going to bed, he'd opened his iPad up, he was looking at what was there, and there was my stream, and he was like, can't believe we've both done the same video. So it's a nice little funny thing there, moment. So when he responds back to that, all his thousands of followers see that and think, "Oh, we'll check out this person." And
Yeah,
again, you'll
of
get a
course.
bit of bump, get a bit of a bump.
So you always have to be ready if that thing hits.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's right. Always be ready and always be thinking. And sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it doesn't quite. You don't get quite the interest that you'd expect. Now that thing I said before about James Bruton, he's got this 1 million subscribers. That's a lot of people. That's
yeah,
more people than you could ever meet in a lifetime. And he has a show that he does once a year. That's a viewer projects show. It's kind of a showcase of projects that his viewers have done. And for him, it's like a really easy show because it's just send me your videos, I'll cut it into a thing and then just show it. Dead easy. So he sent out an email last year, probably around about February, saying if anybody's got any projects, send me some details of it, maybe a clip, and I'll include it in the show. And I thought this is like CV time. So I sent so much stuff, and I was like, I've got a website, I've got videos, here's a picture, here's some text. I kind of give him everything he needed to really make an easy show.
yeah.
And when he actually did that show, my video was the first one that he showed because it was the most visual, it was the most eye-catching, and there was a lot to talk about there. Now, because my video was first in his video segment, I got a spike in one day of about 600 subscribers. It went.
Great.
I was watching in real time as the subscriber count was going up and up and up and up and up.
Yeah,
And it was one of those moments you're like, wow. But it's because
absolutely.
it's not even 0.01% of his subscriber base who subscribe to my channel based on that one video. And that's what 1 million people can do. So sometimes court those people and try and get the opportunity there. And they're
Yeah.
still watching to this day, I can see.
Great. And so your typical viewer is already building robots for himself or just interested in the field or
Yeah, so I say it's a mix. People are usually trying to build themselves. They might be quite expert and quite like watching somebody else make mistakes and stuff, so they can be an expert and chip in and saying you're doing it all wrong. But it also might be quite a lot of students and teachers watch my show for sort of ideas and like, so if they want to make this robot for their class and they think, what can I do with that? How could I build a lesson around that? There's a show idea I could do. Maybe I need to add that one to my. I've got a Trello list of all my ideas, so I can pick my phone up if I'm in the shower and I can sort of say, need to do a show about teaching plans for robots. So I've got an inexhaustible supply of ideas for robot shows. The problem I'll have is sort of picking through them and thinking, what's the best idea I've got there that I can do a really great show around that can absolutely pack in so much value into that show. So yeah, that's always like the challenge. Sometimes you think it's a really great idea and then it really isn't. So
yeah. But that was a very key thing you said there. Write it down as soon as you think about it.
yes, and write down as much as you can about
Yeah.
what you thought at the time, because sometimes I'll come up with an idea and I'll think, what on earth was that? What was I thinking about when I wrote those two
Of
words
course,
down? It makes no sense at all.
because if you're sitting in front of the camera or the blank document on the computer, usually you
Yeah.
get nothing, and while walking or in the shower or whatever,
Yes,
the ideas flow and
that's it.
always
And,
catch
and
them. Yeah.
sometimes, sometimes as well, you don't feel like doing it. So the thing with being consistent every single week, doing a live video, some weeks you'll think, I'm tired. I don't really feel like doing, maybe you had a really long week at work, or maybe, there's some family things or whatever issues you have, and you might not feel like you want to do a show that particular week. But if you're going to be consistent, you've got to get over that, get through it. And so sometimes it's just about getting through that hurdle and just doing it, not procrastinating and just making the thing. So sometimes I find it's easier to start and then it's easier to carry on, but you've got to just start.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
opening up that blank document and just putting the words down is a good start, and then you just take it from there. Now, if you've got a structure to your show, it gets easier because you know what you need to put in there. I think when you start out as a YouTuber, as a content creator, and you haven't got that show flow really sort of solidly put together, it can be a bit daunting. That so now I've got literally my drawer next to me. Every single week, I have a little piece of text that I pin up next to my camera. I have it on my monitor just next to the camera, and it's just a couple of words, like bullet points of things I need to cover off in the show, because it's a live show. I don't like reading from a script, but I do like having points to talk around, because once you've gone live, the live adrenaline monster's sort of at your throat, trying to take away all your brain. So I literally have the first couple of words I say, and it just eases me into the show. So that's one of the things I do.
And with the consistency, it probably gets easier over time, because for how long were you consistent now?
Yeah, so since June 2020, that's how long I've been streaming. So every single Sunday. So
and so now you have a really great motivation to not miss one, because you would break the streak.
Right, I've got a streak.
Yeah. And once you start to miss some, it's easier to miss more of them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now the thing about missing shows, now there was one where I think my father had like a funny turn. He'd had a TIA, a bit like a mini stroke. So it meant that we had to drop everything we were doing and go and see to that. And I was conscious that I just needed to tell my audience that there wouldn't be a show this week. And I was really concerned, as well as my father, I was also concerned that I'd broken my streak, and that maybe all my followers would never watch me again because of this one thing. And people are kind at the end of the day. If you've got a good audience, people are kind. People will allow you that
absolutely
that time. So they say, go and see your father. Don't worry about it. We'll be here for you when you come back. And that really made me feel quite warm and fuzzy inside that, and okay about the situation. And that for me is one of the really unexpected things about live streaming. I did that because I didn't like editing, and I ended up with a community of people who are really nice and kind, and that I like spending my Sunday evenings with.
So thanks God you didn't like editing. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, the really funny thing is, since I have been doing these shows and I've now got a studio to record in, I found it a lot easier to edit, because I've got my camera, my overhead camera set up permanently. I've got my lighting just the way I want it. I've got my main camera set up. It's now easier to hit record and record content for a pre-recorded show. So
of course,
I actually find it a lot easier to do now. My editing, just by repetition, has got better. I'm not the best editor in the world. I'm not the best storyteller. I do look to other people, how to do storytelling. I know one of your guests is a sort of specialist in storytelling. Is it Heather? I can't remember.
Yes, Heather Roma.
Yeah. Really, really good at storytelling. So I would look to those people and think, well, how do they, what's the beginning, middle, and end? What's the story arc to what I'm doing here? How can I make this the most interesting thing? So yeah, that's what I want to get better at.
Yeah, but if you build a robot, you have the beginning is the parts,
you do.
And the end is the finished product, and
that's it. So people do like to see progression. So I built a little robot this past 2 weeks. In fact, it's just here on my desk. If I can grab hold of it without breaking everything. So this little robot here, I built this one about 2 weeks ago, and I did an update show showing how I've improved it, because one of the things that takes so much time when you make one of these things is nothing quite is the way you expect it to be. The tolerance is not quite right. You need to sort of move something around because it was in the wrong place, or it's not strong enough. All these different sort of design things you need to improve. So I did a show about that, and people loved it. They love seeing the mistakes I'd made and how I'd corrected for that. Now, update ones on their own are not necessarily the most interesting video, but you put them in a series. If people can binge watch for an hour, and they know at the very start they're going to see nothing, maybe just a sketch in a book. So I did actually start. I'm trying to find my book. I had my orange book of awesomeness where I put all my ideas down, and so that little sketch. I don't know if you can see this because it's in pencil. It's a bit too bright, that, isn't it? Maybe on the overhead it might be a bit easier to see. It's also a bit blocky there, isn't it? If I hold it still. So this basically a pencil drawing of a robot, and that's how it starts out. And if they know it goes from that to being a robot that can find its way around a room with a laser on the top that spins round, it's quite an interesting build.
Yeah, that's
So
genius.
sometimes I think about things in series. Yeah.
Yeah, that's genius,
Think about what can
especially
go on.
if people watch in series, YouTube is really, really happy with you and will recommend you more.
That's it. So one of the things that the YouTube algorithm picks up on is session time. So how
Yeah.
long have people binged your videos? And if you can make one video naturally flow to the next video in your show, or your maybe you've selected them in a playlist and it makes sense to watch them in order,
Yeah.
then yeah, that's really great for the algorithm. It thinks this person is worth watching.
Yeah, and then Janet asks something really important to cover. What do your robots do? Or are they just new friends?
That's a really good question. So some of them are kind of experimental. So it will be, how do I do a particular thing with it? So what would be a good example of that? This one here. So this robot here, it looks kind of like this one here. But the difference is this has a camera on the front. So I can drive this one round and I can see through that tiny little camera at the front there, whatever it can see. So, this can drive underneath, I don't know, chest of drawers and things like that. It can go places where you couldn't normally get a camera, and you can control it because it's remote control. So each one I build might have something slightly different about it that stretches or enables me to learn something and then teach something that other people will be interested in. So I built another little robot, which is like the tiniest robot that I could build. Again, it kind of looks like this robot, but is much smaller. And this one uses different components. This one has a laser, so it can detect distances in front of it, and it's got tiny little wheels on it, so it can move around. So yeah, different robots have different purposes, and it's usually a learning platform. Learning for me, so my whole show is, I have this thing that I'll say at the beginning where I'll say, come with me as we learn how to build robots, bring them to life with code, and have a whole load of fun along the way. And I'll say that at the beginning of every single show that I do. So the learn with me is, I'm not an expert yet. So I'm learning things.
Great.
If I only need to be one step ahead of somebody else to teach them what I've learned, and by teaching them, I can sort of, because I've literally just built the thing, I'll know what all the problems are that they're likely to come across, and I can sort of say how to get by that. So for example, that robot that I've just shown you there, I've just done a video and I'm creating one at the moment about how to control that with an Xbox controller. So I've got my Xbox controller there, and they're not the same. I've got two Xbox controllers there. They look exactly the same, other than one's black and one's white. But one of them works with Bluetooth and one of them doesn't work with Bluetooth. And you wouldn't know that just by switching them on. There's nothing that indicates on the thing. So that little insight, that little piece of information can save some people hours and hours and hours of time.
Of course.
So I always try and figure out what's the insight, what's the value that I can give people, and that's what they'll come for.
Great. Yeah. And then you have something really fun in the background, something to you can play with.
That's it, yes. So that just there is an arcade machine. So if I spin that camera around and just go to that one for a second there, you can probably just about make out, it says Picade on the top, and that's an arcade machine. So I was given this by Pimaroni to do a show on, to do an unboxing, how you build a thing, and then do an intro video for their website on YouTube. And yeah, it's an emulator. It can play all kinds of games. It can play like Sega, Sonic the Hedgehog, ZX Spectrum games, Commodore 64 games, PlayStation games, all the things. Really, really good fun. So yeah, really enjoyed putting that together. And that was a freebie as well. I've also got quite a few retro computers behind me as well. So that's a Mac Classic there. And then next to me there, you can't quite see it, but that's a BBC computer from 1980s. I've got my Pac-Men that I 3D printed as well. And then sat on top, there's a bit of reflection there. There's a Game Boy there as well. So a bit of retro computing.
That brings memory from our use the Game Boy.
Yeah, I loved it. I never had one at the time, but I always wanted one. So You know,
It was
when
so much easier to go to the grandparents when it was boring. You just could play
that's it.
there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. So there's so much fun stuff there, and each one of these things can be a story or a bit of content. You know, you can
Yeah.
look around and think, I'm in this small room, but what can I make content about that's like really engaging? And that's it's like finding the story. That's the interesting part, I think, sometimes about, you know, making things. It'd be really boring if you made a video about how to make something, nothing went wrong, and you made the thing in a really short amount of time. Nobody wants to watch that. They want to watch a bit of drama. They want to see what goes wrong.
Yeah, give us some entertainment. Yeah.
That's it.
And so for people not really deep into the topic, what would be a good starting point to watch videos of you?
Yeah, I mean, you could probably watch any video that I do,
Okay.
and it'll be easy enough to consume because I explain it in a way that's really easy for anyone. I think that's one of the gifts I have. It's why in my professional job, I'm that kind of person that sits between the people who know nothing about IT and the people who know everything about IT and are obsessed by it. And I can kind of speak both languages and communicate it really simple ways. And it's the same with robotics. So I can get down into the bits and bytes of how these things work mechanically, electrically, how you can write the code for it. But then I can also show people who've no idea how to do that, what it is and how it can work and how they could have one too and what they could do with it. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's really fascinating. I think we could go on for hours about creating content, but I really think one of your big secrets of your success is your enthusiasm and how you really. It all started with you wanting to show other people what cool things they can do,
Yes.
and that's still the case today. And I
Yeah.
think that really
I love it.
shows. Yeah.
Yeah. Not got tired of it yet. I absolutely love content creation.
So
Yeah.
we have in the description we have a link to Kevin's YouTube channel, live
Yes.
every Sunday. Yeah, you had there a slide with all the times in
That's
all
it.
the
Yep.
time zones.
There I am.
Maybe now it's right now it's a bit messed up with daylight saving
Daylight
time,
savings.
but
Yep. And
just give or take
my
an hour
socials.
and you will find it. Yeah, or take a screenshot of this page. Yes, perfect. And the YouTube is in the description, and you said that's where your main focus is. So
Yes.
yeah, go and find Kevin. And yeah, that already was about an hour. So
Wow.
maybe we make a follow up in the future. But thank you so very much, Kevin, for taking the
Thanks for
time.
having me. Yeah. Really enjoyed it.
Thanks everyone for watching, for commenting. If you're watching in the replay, please say hi so we know you were here. Okay, but that's it for today, and happy creating, building, whatever. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.